That they plant these certain reports or they say these certain things, and you do hear the word arrogant. Why is he arrogant? Because he won't walk into the meeting and bend the knee, or he won't sit in the meeting and question himself or his abilities or his knowledge and experience in the game. I don't believe that that's arrogance. I want a quarterback that's self-assured. I want a quarterback that could cut the film on, and when you ask him a question about why did you make this mistake, or why did you make this throw, or why was this the right read, I want him to be able to regurgitate that to me like he's in the play at the moment, the same way a coach or an offense coordinator would, because that's what he's going to have to do.
What if I told you Coach Prime just got hit with a truth bomb so spicy, even his sunglasses couldn't block it? Ryan Clark didn't just spill the tea, he dumped the whole pot on Shedeur's draft hype, and now the internet's in DEFCON Deion. Is the Golden Boy in trouble? Is the NFL actually swiping left? Buckle up, because this isn't your average draft drama. This is primetime chaos, and it's about to get messy.
Shedeur Sanders get damn near killed for 2 years at Colorado. And I never saw him berate a lineman on the sideline. I never saw him cuss or scream at a coach. And you're hearing these things like entitled and these little pieces of the characteristics of his personality when we had a #1 overall draft pick get arrested for being orderly and drunk. And we had more people coming out and saying, okay, here is who the real Baker Mayfield is. Don't watch this video.
So apparently, the Prime Dynasty has hit a plot twist. The storybook script where Shedeur Sanders strolls into the NFL as a top pick with confetti raining down and Deion Sanders grinning in Versace shades just got interrupted. And guess who kicked the door down? Ryan Clark. Yeah, the former NFL safety turned no-chill analyst who doesn't sugarcoat anything just came in like a wrecking ball to the Sanders storyline. And let's just say, Deion might want to swap those sunglasses for a helmet.
Other way to say it, there's only one you, though.
Thank you.
And you say you leave hope behind, but so many people felt like when prime time left, so did that hope. That people, the Under Armours and the ESPN game days, they came to Jackson for Coach Prime.
Right.
And when you think about HBCUs now moving forward, not only just Jackson State, but the entire SWAC, what is it that they can take from kind of the blueprint that you left that's usable without your name?
Let's go on the field first. #1, you got to have a quarterback that can throw the darn football to win.
Now here's the setup. For the last year, the Sanders family has been doing what they do best, turning football into a blockbuster saga. Shedeur? Oh, he wasn't just playing quarterback, he was starring in his own Marvel origin story, complete with custom watches, NIL deals that make rookie contracts jealous, and a hype machine louder than a Colorado student section after a primetime pep talk.
As far as Shedeur, and the Sanders family, we talk about collusion. They brought up race. They talk about the arrogance and his confidence. It's okay to be confident, but if Shedeur was as elite as, people had spoken him up to be, he'd have gone first round. To slide 5th round was crazy to me. I'm not sure how he got to that point. The good thing is this, I do trust in God's timing, and Deion's always talking about faith.
Deion had the media eating out of his hand. Every press conference was a sermon, every quote a headline. Shedeur was the chosen one, the anointed arm of destiny, and for a while it looked like the NFL was ready to roll out the red carpet. First round buzz? Check. Top 10 projections? You bet. There were whispers about him leapfrogging those so-called traditional quarterbacks. The boring guys who play like robots but somehow win games? Yeah, those guys were supposed to move over, but
Maybe it's my algorithm, but I see Shiloh and Shedeur more than I've ever seen any undrafted guy or 5th round guy on social media in the history of Instagram, Threads, Twitter, X, whatever it is. Like, those dudes are everywhere. And they caught some of Deion's strays, right? Deion had a level of greatness that was untouchable. Right? Deion could say, yeah, I'm not interviewing with these people because I'm not going to be there in the draft. Deion could say, hey, I already ran 140. I ain't effing with no more of this testing because y'all already know I'm top 5 and it ain't tripping. Watch the film, know who I am. That's the difference between, I think, Deion and who his kids were.
Then the season kept happening and happening and happening. And somewhere between sack number 53 and whatever fresh O-line disaster was unfolding in Boulder, the scouts started blinking. Shedeur went from the golden child to the guy holding onto the ball like it owed him money. Pocket presence? More like pocket absence. NFL front offices started asking serious questions. Was this kid really NFL ready, or was he just really good at content creation? Enter Ryan Clark, who casually dropped what can only be described as a professional roast disguised as analysis. It wasn't a hot take, it was a cold shower. While the rest of the world was still basking in primetime glitter, Clark said the quiet part out loud. And oh boy, did that shake the table. Because when Ryan Clark talks, NFL circles listen. He's not your average studio yeller. He's plugged in. He knows how draft rooms think, how GMs panic, and how coaches turn into caffeine-guzzling maniacs trying to avoid the next first-round flop. So when he looked at Shedeur and basically said, "You're not it yet," the draft world took notice.
Why didn't Shedeur get drafted in the first round? Number one, he didn't code switch. What do I mean he didn't code switch? Shedeur Sanders did not change his identity or how he comes off. He did not change how he comes off for the sake of the decision makers. And who are decision makers in the National Football League? Primarily non-minorities, primarily white people. He did not code switch. He stayed true to Shedeur. I played with a dude, and Shady's talked about this before on one of his podcasts, a dude named Rock Carmichael. He played defensive back for the Eagles. Rock Carmichael was told, you need to cut your hair while being in the NFL.
Suddenly, those dreamy first-round projections started sliding faster than a running back on ice. That top 10 buzz replaced with whispers of day 2, maybe even day 3 if things don't improve. Meanwhile, Deion? Oh, he was not having it. You could practically hear him grinding his teeth through a smile, because here's the dilemma. Deion's confidence is bulletproof. He spent a career betting on himself and winning. But when it comes to Shedeur, that confidence borders on fatherly force field. Nobody messes with his kid, not even reality. So naturally, he clapped back, as if the NFL, a league known for chewing up quarterbacks and spitting out their cleats, is somehow threatened by Shedeur's swagger. Sure, coach, and this is where it gets juicy, because the more Deion pushes, the more the NFL pulls back. GMS aren't here for emotional press conferences. They want tape. They want grit. They want to know what happens when the glitz fades and the lights go cold. And right now, Shedeur's highlight reel looks like it was directed by Michael Bay. Lots of explosions, not a ton of structure.
Yeah, teams didn't draft him because they didn't think he was first-round talent. And the quote we played and that's on the screen, I think is flatly wrong. We all know this shouldn't have happened. Yes, it should have. It should have happened because this wasn't. Now, again, teams can be wrong. The league as a whole can be wrong. Hell, the Baltimore Ravens drafted a 25-year-old tight end before they drafted Lamar Jackson in the same draft. The die is not cast on who Shedeur Sanders will be. The die is cast on what the NFL thinks of him.
Let's talk facts. Shedeur had decent numbers. Statistically, he held his own. But football isn't played on spreadsheets. It's played in trenches and collapsing pockets, under duress, when your body says no and the coach screams yes. And in those moments, the league saw a quarterback still figuring it out. Not a finished product, not a franchise savior, just a really talented college kid trying to survive a TikTok-era rebuild, and we haven't even gotten to the competition yet. The 2025 draft class is stacked. Caleb Williams is out here doing Jedi tricks. Drake May throws lasers like he was manufactured in a quarterback lab. JJ McCarthy is somehow both efficient and boring, which NFL execs love. You can't market your way into the first round. You can't vibe your way into a starting job. The NFL doesn't care if your dad is prime time. It cares if your reads are clean and your footwork isn't trying to freestyle.
You're a fifth-round draft choice, right? And it's some of the decisions you have made, and it lends credence to the criticism that he received in the pre-draft process, right? Didn't show up, prepared in meetings, didn't catch intentional mistakes, right? All these different little things that came out during that pre-draft process. And this is one of those situations. I was a 10th rounder. You're keeping your nose clean. You're making sure you do everything the right way because being a late round draft choice, he's a late round draft choice, a fifth rounder, nothing is guaranteed for you.
But here's where it gets even better. Deion isn't backing down. If anything, he's doubling down. Word is he's reloading Colorado with more talent, more weapons, more linemen who might actually block someone this time. The next season, it's being treated like Shedeur's comeback tour, the final act. One last shot to tell the NFL, yeah, I've got the skills and the skins. But the stakes? Oh, they've never been higher. Because now everyone's watching. Not just fans, not just haters, but front offices, coordinators, and scouts with clipboards and judgment in their eyes. Every snap is an audition. That's the real kicker. This isn't just about Shedeur, it's about Deion's vision. His bold, brash, watch me do it differently master plan. The media empire, the swagger renaissance. If Shedeur falters, it doesn't just ding his resume. It undercuts everything Deion's been preaching, which brings us back to Ryan Clark. The man didn't say anything new, he just said it first and said it loud. And that was enough to tip the narrative. The Emperor isn't naked, but his draft armor might need some patchwork.
I'm so glad we brought this up. So I text my brother, Chris, and I said, problem with Shedeur is Deion is so closely, entangled in Shedeur's career. But most of the time, if you draft him within the first 1 to 15, your team is shitty.
Right.
Yeah.
So now the season starts, and you have Shedeur on the bench, and your team is already shitty. That's why you drafted early, and you're losing 3 or 4 games in a row.
Easy.
And now everybody's like, "Yo, put Shedeur in," right? But now the coach is on the hot seat. Who do you think is the first person they're going to think of to hire as their new coach? We got Shedeur sitting here. Deion's going to come in and bring so much more fanfare, so much more eyes, so much more money. So you realistically, if you're a coach and you draft Shedeur in the first round, you are drafting your successor.
And now we enter the part of the movie where the camera pans out, the music gets a little darker, and you realize, oh snap, this isn't just about one dude throwing spirals. This is the draft fallout. And Shedeur Sanders is sitting smack in the middle of a swirling storm of hype, hope, and a whole lot of hesitation. Right now, the mock drafts look like a dice roll at a Vegas craps table. 1 minute, Shedeur is floating in the late first round like he's about to cash in on all that primetime confidence. The next, he's tumbling into third-round territory like someone just unplugged his controller in Madden. It's the NFL version of swiping right on a dating app and never sending the first message. Now stack that lukewarm interest up against the fire-breathing QB class of this year, Caleb Williams, built like a creative player with cheat codes, Drake May, smooth like butter and armed with a bazooka. J.J. McCarthy, steady, smart, and winning games like it's his birthright. Penix Jr. and Bo Nix, older than some NFL assistants, but playing like grizzled warlocks of the gridiron.
Let's talk about what just happened to Shedeur Sanders, because it's not just about football. It's about power, race, and how black athletes are still punished for refusing to know their place. A year ago, Shedeur was being talked about as the potential #1 NFL draft pick. And just last weekend, Colorado retired his jersey number, a rare honor. And yet, when draft night came, Sanders wasn't picked in the first round, or the second, or the third.
And there's Shedeur, talented, precise, and tough, no doubt. But the difference? Those other guys are climbing. Shedeur's stuck in maybe territory. Maybe he's the real deal. Maybe he's just Deion's son. And in an NFL war room, maybe gets you a clipboard, not a playbook, because coaches aren't just hunting for arm talent anymore. They want CEOs in helmets, commanders of chaos, guys who rally grown men with mortgages and alimony payments. And while Shedeur has moments of brilliance, the NFL is asking, can he lead a locker room or just a social media following? That he's too focused on image and not enough on grind. There's a sneaky suspicion swirling in scout circles. Has Shedeur already made it without actually making it? When your pre-draft highlight reel looks like a music video, NFL guys start wondering if you're chasing rings or just more camera angles. And of course, the Deion factor.
I'm gonna be honest, man. Like, if you're laughing about this, like, you're probably kind of a piece of garbage. Like, this is not good. And unlike some guys who, quote unquote, get wrong advice. Sure. He didn't get wrong advice. He got the good advice, and then the teams just decided, no, not going to do it. So I don't know what their thought process was. I don't understand it. I'm sure the stories will come out at some point, but this isn't like a kid that doesn't know anything about the draft getting told by his uncle that you should go in because you can get some money. This is a guy who has all the resources in the world and has all the numbers that you need. Like 74% of his passes are completions.
Being Prime's son, it's a cheat code and a target on your back. It opens doors, sure, but it also adds a microscope so intense it makes playoff pressure look like a water balloon fight. Every mistake gets magnified, every success gets labeled as Daddy Deion's doing. So what happens next? Well, Colorado's reloading. Deion's on the recruiting warpath like Thanos collecting Infinity Stones. He's got linemen, receivers, and maybe even a few angry ex-SEC players who just want revenge on the world. And let's be clear, the stakes aren't just about Shedeur. They'll say the Sanders experiment failed. But if he rises, oh boy. If Shedeur balls out, if he drags Colorado into a winning season and storms back into the top 10, it'll be primetime prophecy fulfilled. And Ryan Clark? He might have to go on national TV and admit, yeah, the kid's got that dog in him after all.
Personally, the NFL is not basing shit off talent. If you're basing on talent, you're not going to say it was 142, 143 niggas better than the nigga, period. This was personal. I think that Deion said some things like he didn't want his son to go to a few different teams, and them niggas all talk like, who is Deion to say X, Y, Z, etc.
It's not like who I would like for him to play for. It's a couple teams that I won't allow him to play for.
Because love him or doubt him, one thing's for sure. Shedeur's not just playing for a draft slot, he's playing for a legacy. And this story, it ain't over. It's just getting dangerously interesting. Now here's where things get hilariously complicated. The Sanders crew thrives on pressure. They eat it for breakfast with extra glitter. So this draft drama, it's not a setback. It's a plot point. A new episode in the Shedeur saga. And trust, they're already spinning it. You can already hear the next round of interviews. Shedeur the underdog. Shedeur proving the doubters wrong. Deion saying, we love the hate. Meanwhile, Deion's probably on the phone recruiting 5 new linemen, a documentary crew, and a backup hype man. Because if there's one thing we've learned, primetime never goes quietly. But the NFL, it doesn't care about quiet or loud, it cares about wins, tape, and cold-blooded execution. The countdown to the truth starts now, and this time, the truth might not wear gold chains.